When did you realize your parents shouldn't have had kids? I was 7 when my dad forgot to pick me up from school. Not once, but every Friday for 2 months straight. It started in 2nd grade at Lincoln Elementary. Every Friday, all the other kids would get picked up at 3:15, their parents chatting by the pickup circle. And I'd wait. The yellow buses would rumble away. The parent pickup line would dwindle until only a few stragglers remained, then disappear entirely. By 4:30, Mrs. Patterson would call the office, her voice carrying that careful teacher tone that meant trouble. By 5 God, she'd be sitting with me in the empty classroom, fluorescent lights humming overhead, trying to reach my parents. The custodians would wheel their carts past our door. The building would grow quiet, except for the settling sounds of an old school at rest. The first time, Dad showed up at 6:45 with McDonald's and a sheepish grin. "Sorry, kiddo. Lost track of time at work. Big project. You know how it is." Inside the bag were cold chicken nuggets and limp fries. Mrs. Patterson gathered her things with pursed lips, not meeting Dad's eyes. Mom barely looked up from her phone when we got home. "How was school?" she asked automatically, but didn't wait for an answer. The second Friday, same thing. This time the principal, Mr. Rodriguez, sat with me until Dad arrived at 7:15. "Traffic was crazy," Dad said, but his words came out slightly slurred, and I caught the sharp smell of beer on his breath. Mr. Rodriguez exchanged a look with Mrs. Patterson that I didn't understand then, but I do now. By the 4th Friday, I started bringing a book from home. I'd made friends with Janet, the evening custodian, who would share her turkey sandwich with me around 5:30. "Honey, don't your parents know school ends at 3:15? Janet asked one evening. "They know," I said, not looking up from my book. "They're just really busy." Other parents started noticing. Sarah's mom offered rides. Tommy's dad volunteered to drive me home. I always said no, because Dad would be there soon. I'd learned to say it with confidence, like I believed it myself. Month 2, I got smart. I started walking to the public library 3 blocks away instead of waiting in the empty school. The librarian, Miss Chen, never asked questions when a 7-year-old showed up alone every Friday evening around 4Y. She just smiled and handed me picture books, sometimes bringing me apple juice and crackers. I'd curl up in the children's section until they closed at 8 bao, losing myself in stories about kids who had adventures and parents who cared. The breaking point came on a rainy Friday in October. I couldn't walk to the library in that downpour, so I waited. At 8:15, they called the police. Officer Williams found me in the empty hallway, reading under the dim security lighting. When my parents finally showed up at 9:30, they weren't worried about me sitting alone in a school for over 6 hours. Dad was furious about being embarrassed in front of cops. Mom kept complaining about having to leave her book club early. "He's supposed to wait where we put him," she told Officer Williams, like I was a package they'd left for pickup, not their son. That's when I realized they saw me as an inconvenience with legs. Friday pickups weren't the only thing they forgot. School plays where I scanned the audience for faces that never appeared. Parent-teacher conferences, doctor appointments. My 8th birthday party that never happened because they forgot to plan anything, but it was the fever incident that sealed it. I was burning up for 3 days, begging to go to the doctor. When I finally collapsed at school and the ambulance came, they found my temperature was 104.8. I was hallucinating, my body finally giving up the fight. At the hospital, Mom cried and said she felt terrible, that she didn't realize I was really sick. But here's the thing I'll never forget. In all those 3 days of me feeling like I was dying, she never once touched my forehead to check, not once.